Hi there, folks from Math 103. I hope all is well. And I'm about to try to attempt to show you what I think is a pretty neat way for you to get work from your teacher, any teacher at Buff State, any professor at Buff State, and as sent to you as a PDF, and how to do the work on the PDF without ever printing the sheet, and then fixing up the PDF so that you can send it back to the professor. So what I would like to do is begin by talking about what I feel you should do when you receive a PDF from a particular math professor or any professor at Buff State. All right, what I would like to do is show you how I would like you to take a PDF file you've received and get it ready for use for you so that you can get it prepared to send it back to me. So these are the steps that I would suggest you follow in the beginning. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a look at my documents folder. Now I have kind of blown these up into a larger size so it's a little easier for you to see. But let's say I've begun to receive PDFs from my professor, and I want to save them someplace so I know where they are. So there are two folders that I feel that you should make in your documents folder. So for a new folder, of course, we have to go over here and click on new folder. So I'm going to click once. There's one new folder. And I'm going to click again. There's a second new folder. Now what I want to do with these new folders is I want to give them different names. So you'll notice if I click on them slowly a couple of times, the name is able to be changed. Okay? So my first folder I'm going to make is going to be called PDFs. All right? From 103, Math 103, okay? Now, the second folder, I'm going to make that become PDFs, small s on the end, returning, all right, to 103, okay? All right, so now I have my two folders that I want to have in my system, all right? So that when I get a PDF from the professor or from Mr. Kelly or whatever, I can save it first in PDFs from 103, all right? Then I'm going to initially save it under the same name, but put my initials after it in the PDFs to return to Math 103. Once I have put my initials after the file, I can keep saving that same file over and over again. It'll just keep updating it, and it'll be in the return to 103. And eventually, when I want to return it to the professor, it'll be all finished, all ready to go, and I can attach it to an email to send it back. That's the whole idea. All right? So what I'm going to now do is this. I'm going to switch my share. I'm going to stop that share, and I'm going to switch over to my emails, all right? And now you're going to see that there's an email here from Gary Kelly called Sample Problem, right? So if I click on that, okay, and I right-click the actual attachment that's in the email called Sample Problem, because that's the PDF I want. If I right-click it, okay, and I click Save As, all right, it will give me the location that I want to put it in, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going down here, and I'm going to find these two folders I just made, if I can find them, okay? PDFs from 103. So I'm going to open up PDFs from 103. Sample problems, what I want to do, save it as, then I'll have it in its original form when I received it. Okay? All right, no problem, right? Okay, I'm also going to right-click this, okay? And I'm going to go to Save As, but I'm going to save it in the other folder, okay? And the other folder, all right, in Documents, okay? I'm going down to that folder right now. Okay, where is it? PDFs. I forgot to put returning. I forgot to put a G on it. I've got return in, but it means returning to 103. So I double click that. But before I save it, I'm going to save it as what? Sample problem, but my initials after it. Now I'm going to click after it so I can type my initials. And now what it's going to do is save that file, okay, in the other folder when I tell it to, all right? So I go down here and I go to PDFs, returning. I should change this to returning. Put a G after that. Returning to 103, there we go. Now it'll be in the right folder, okay? So returning to 103, I have the GSK name behind it, okay? And now I hit open, and now I will save it there. Now, when I bring that file up to work on it, okay, I will bring it up by going to, let me change my view here. So let me stop this share. Now I'm going down here to find my folder PDFs from 103, PDFs returning to 103. So when I go to open this file to use it as the professor gives me a presentation, it's already got my initials on it. And I will continuously save it back here to this location. So if I open this file up, all right, now you'll see once I double clicked it, it brought it up in the format I want it in as a PDF, okay? If you notice that the name up here at the top says Sample Problem GSK. So now the correct name is on the file I want. So any work I do on this PDF, okay, when I resave it, it'll save it right back in the folder, all right, called Returning to 103, and it'll keep updating it and do exactly what I wanted to do. And eventually I can attach that file after I've saved it several times. I can attach that file to an email to send back to my professor or to me, Professor Kelly, okay? So that's the whole idea. Now, this is in a PDF format within the Windows searching program that you use called Microsoft Edge. And what it does is it sets it up so you can do a lot of cool things with it. First of all, I can make it larger if I want, using that plus sign up there, or smaller, okay? And I can draw on it, which is I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that in a couple minutes. And I can resave the file. Over here is the small little icon I use to save the file, and I can print the file if I want, okay? But the point is I have the exact document that was sent to me from the instructor, all right? Now, once I have that document, I can bring that document up on my computer, okay, and have it ready to go so that when the professor discusses that document with me on a video, okay, I'm actually going to be able to write on this document as they discuss it. So what I will use is a second device to actually watch their discussion. So I might use a video tablet of some sort in addition to my computer. So I'm going to have two things going on at the same time. The beauty of that is I can, once I set my computer up so that I can write right on the PDF, I can watch it on the video tablet that I have and work right along with the professor, writing the material down on this sheet as I go. All right. Then when I'm all finished doing that, I can actually save the document, all right, and put it in the folder we made, the files that we're going to send back to the 103 instructor with all the writing on it, which shows that you have done the work. Also, what is great about it is if you do any homework sheets or assignments and use this method, you will have written your material out on the original PDF, then you will resave it so that when you attach it to an email and send it back to your professor, they will know it's yours. What this does is it saves you the headache of having to print the PDF, write on it, and put it back into your system somehow, resave it so that you can send it back to the professor. When you send pictures, sometimes they're out of focus. If you send a picture of an object you have printed and written on, sometimes they're sideways, sometimes you don't get the whole picture. But with these PDFs, if you write on the PDF just the way it's set up and send it back to the instructor, they get the sheet back with the information on it they're looking for, plus you never had to print it. You could do all your writing or even typing, I suppose, too, right on this sheet. A lot of my students have been sending me typewritten sheets back where they have typed right on their PDFs. Now, let me just say this. They are able to do that because a lot of them have Macs. Mac computers are a little bit more user-friendly with this type of setup, but this will still work here. And you can send it back to the professor all finished, and they will be able to see your work. And they can easily print your work when you send it back to them as a PDF. Or if they don't want to print it, they can save it. Well, they will save it from the email you send back, and they have a record of what you have done. So it really works out very, very nicely. Now, let me just show you a couple tools up here. First of all, there is this drawing tool. Now, I'm going to get back into the drawing tool in a couple minutes using a thing called a tablet. And the tablet, I'm suggesting that you should buy one of these. They're only about 25 bucks, and I'll get into all that in a minute. But what I want to show you is that all you have to do is click on this draw button here, and using the tablet, which I'm not using now, I'm using the mouse, I can actually write on this sheet, which is phenomenal, okay? But what you do is you actually use the writing tablet to do your work, and it comes out beautifully on your PDF, all right? It looks great. Now, there's an erase tool here also, so I can erase exactly what I put in there and start over if I want, or a piece of what I did. So these two tools on these PDFs are phenomenal, okay? Because you can do your work right on your computer screen. You watch the professor if they're demonstrating something that they want you to do with them while they demonstrate it. You can do that while they are discussing it if you watch it on your tablet, and you on your computer can actually be doing the work as they discuss it, which is fantastic. Now, the other two buttons up here we have to look at, and I don't know that you can see those because of the fact that my picture may be blocking these things up here. I'm going to show you a picture of it so you can see what it looks like. But up in that upper right-hand corner is a printing icon where you tap that and it goes right to your printer, and you can print it if you want. And then there's a save button. It looks like an old style disk that you used to be able to save files on. And you just simply click on that and resave it. And every time you save it from the point you first saved it on, it will save it in exactly the same location. So you can upgrade and make changes to your document, all right? And it'll be right there in your folder. And then when you have to send the stuff back to your professor, you simply go to the folder and you send back the data that you want sent. But you got to make sure you're in the right folder, right? So you have to make sure that you put this in the folder that says PDF returns to 103. Now, I know for some of you this may sound very, very complicated, but it's really not too bad. Once you get used to it, it's very simple. And you don't have to print anything at home, all right, or in your dorm room or wherever you are taking the course. And you are able to send back material in a format to the professor that is a format they can easily deal with themselves as well. You don't have to take pictures of it. You can just send the PDF right back with the work done right on it. So with that being said, we're going to go on and look at the object that I'm suggesting you purchase to be able to do this process. And I just want to show you the new thing I just bought, and it came in one day. And this fantastic little device is going to make a world of difference in cutting down work for you. The pad looks like this. Okay, it's very small. It hooks in with the USB and the corner of your computer. Comes with a nice little pen that you can see right here. And what you're not going to believe is how fantastic it is that you can write with this pen on this pad. You can even have your mouse activated, and it works great for you doing your work on the sheets I send you, the PDFs. You can resave those PDFs after you brought them up, and you can send them back to me, and the work is already on the sheet for you because you've done it right on the tablet itself. And of course, in my email, I've indicated the name of the tablet. It's only $23 or $24, and you can use it for all your classes. So I would strongly suggest that you look into getting this thing and get used to it. Now, I have just hooked it up. I'm not used to it at all, but I'm going to show you how simple it is to use this thing to do the work we want to do, okay? Now, the first thing I want to show you is that over here, I have a small tablet next to me. And on the other side, of course, is my laptop. The small tablet is ready to do my lesson, and I'm going to do the lesson on the PDF. So here in a minute, I'm going to bring the PDF up, and you can see that right here is the tablet, and I'm just going to be writing on the tablet right here, and it will load right on there for me. So it is terrific. Now let me bring up, first of all, let me share the problem I want to do with you. Okay, so you would bring this up on your computer, all right, and you would hit play on your tablet, okay, and you probably are going to have a little trouble hearing this, but we'll see. And I'm going to play this video, all right, and I'm going to do the work at the same time, okay? Please follow along with me as I do this first volume problem example. You can see that we have a rectangular prism here, and we wish to get its volume. How do we do that? So the first thing we want to do is write down the formula, right? So as you recall, any rectangular prism's volume can be found by multiplying length times width times height, or the formula D equals LWH, where L stands for length, W for width, and H for height. Okay, so let's plug in the numbers. Well, usually the longest dimension is referred to as the length. So we will put V equals 43 times the width. Well, since the width would kind of be on the bottom there, we'll do 20. And the height is 32. All right, so all I need to do is multiply these figures together. All right, so I grab my calculator and I multiply 43 times 20 times 32. And when I do, I obtain 27,520. Now, it asks me to get the volume of the figure in cubic feet. And of course, this is in cubic feet, right? Because I multiplied feet times feet times feet. So I simply write feet to the third power. But notice there's a second part to the problem. It's asked you to determine the answer to this in cubic inches. Now we have a couple of ways we could do this, all right? One way we can do it is we could convert each of the individual lengths into inches and multiply them together. Or we could actually figure out how many cubic inches are in a cubic foot, okay? And if we did that, we would be able to simply do a one-step conversion, all right? Well, the one-step conversion method I like to use is dimensional analysis. So what I'm going to do is write 27,000. Let me change that. That's 520. Let me start over there. 27,520 cubic feet. And I want to change it to cubic inches. Well, cubic feet has to go down here, so it will cancel, right? For every 1 cubic foot, how many cubic inches are there? Well, a cubic foot would be 12 times 12 times 12. And if you multiply that together, I believe you'll find that 1,728 cubic inches. Now I know I have to multiply to get this answer, right? Because cubic feet cancel out. I want it in cubic inches, and if I multiply those two numbers together, all right, so I get times, my answer was still in my calculator, 1728 equals, it's going to be one big mama number. All right, 47,554,560 cubic inches. So there are both answers that were requested in this problem. Now, I hope you follow along and filled in the steps as I did. Now what I'd like you to do is try the second problem on your own, okay? So get your formula down, put down your plug-in numbers, and work it out, and then see if you can perform the conversion. So here is problem 2. All right, you take a look at problem 2 and see what you can do with that. Okay, so here's what I do. I simply write down the formula again using my pad here. V equals LWH. Now I'm going to be getting it in cubic inches, right? So let me pull this up and down a little bit here. I've got this, I think you probably noticed I have it up pretty large, right? I can vary the size in the PDF of how large I want the figure to be. I think the larger you make it, the easier it is to draw on it and to write out what you want to write out. So I'm going to make it a little bit larger, okay, and I'm going to move it down a little bit so I can see my numbers. My length I'm going to use is 40. Simply write that down right on the PDF, okay? My width is 25. This pen is so easy to write with. It feels like you're just writing with a normal ink pen, all right? And the height is 85 inches, right? Okay, and I will get my calculator over here. All right, I'll turn it back on and I'll do 40 times 25 times 85. And when I do that, I obtain the answer 85,000 cubic inches. Now I want to convert this into cubic feet. All right, to do that, well, let's set it up like we did before with the dimensional analysis. I put down what I started from, 85,000 cubic inches. You can take your time and write slowly here. My writing skills aren't the best, but you can see, you can read it, and I will be able to read it when you send it back to me, okay? So I simply now do what? I want to take cubic inches to put it on the bottom. I'm going to cubic feet, which is on top. And why did I put the 1 cubic foot up there? Because there are 1,728 cubic inches in a cubic foot. So since it's on the bottom, the 1,728, and the 85,000 is on the top, I'm going to have to divide to do this answer, right? So I still have the 85,000 in my calculator. I simply hit divided by 1728, enter, and I get roughly, it's not going to come out exactly even, but it'll be 49.19 cubic feet. Now, the beauty of using this slate is the fact that I can take the PDF, which I would have sent you, all right? You can bring it up, use this slate, okay? And what you can do after you have used the slate, you can go right up here to the top and save it. By the way, you can erase any of this stuff too up here, but I'm going to go up here and show you. I'm going to save this file, so I hit the little save button up here. All right, it tells me where I want to put it. I called it sample problem, and then I hit save, and it will have saved this PDF file so that when you send this PDF file back to me with your initials on it, I know it's your PDF file and you're all set. I didn't have to print a single piece of paper to do this. It's beautiful the way this works, and I'm sure it's going to save you a lot of time and headaches once you get used to this tablet. I just used this tablet for the first time tonight here, and it worked great. But remember, this tablet does much more than what I've done with it. But I want you to be aware of the fact that this, I think, is a good future investment for you, particularly if you don't have Macs and you don't have iPads, because Macs and iPads give you the possibility of being able to save as PDFs. So you could take my PDFs, you could write on them with your iPad or on your Mac computer, and then resave them with your initials and then send them back to me. So it saves you paper, it saves you time, and you've saved them in your system so that when you want to bring them up to study for a test or to look something up, you can do that, okay? So how about that, huh? So thank you very much for listening to this. And these tablets are only like 25 bucks, okay? And all the information I have sent you is in the email. So if you want to invest in your future with working online and being able to use PDFs and write on the PDFs and then send them back to me, and you don't have a Mac or you don't have an iPad, okay, you can still do it with a regular type laptop and also with just a tablet, okay? Take care.